Good morning, eh? Yeah, that's what today's Hippie News Network is all about. It's mostly Canadian, maybe all Canadian. I've reviewed everything, but it's not really in my mind. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to Hippie News Network, episode number 113. 113 times I have brought cannabis news to those of you who will listen. Today, I just did it a week ago. Usually I go every 2 weeks. Lately I go every 2 weeks because one Sunday I have Pasha here, the next Sunday, like today, I don't. Last week I didn't have him here because he was making up for being sick and wanted to spend more time with his mom. So I'm doing it 2 weeks in a row. I have less stories this time. Not a lot of stories shared, but some big things happened in the world of cannabis in Canada. So today, let's pitter patter and get at her. Let's first though have a nice little mix here. Afghani with a little bit of hash. Peace and cheers, friends. Love and harmony. And yeah, for those who notice, I'm still not bonging it. I prefer the old method. And I don't smoke much at all of the green. I really don't. The more I do, the more I notice my cough in the morning. The less I do, the less I cough. I vape like crazy. So, where are we today on Weedy Weekend or Hippie News Network? The very first thing is proposed pot regulations opens doors to craft growers licensing non-violent offenders. This is a big story. There's more that comes of it, and it's not complete yet, but it shows that the feedback from the people of Canada have forced the government into a shift in their decisions. At the beginning, they wanted absolutely everything to be controlled through the government, through the licensed producers. No real expansion of licensed producers. Nobody with previous records of dealing and things like that would be allowed to work in the industry, etc., etc., etc. But now they have come forward, and let me read this. Federal Health Minister, I'm just learning with my new glasses, best position to read. Federal Health Minister Jeanette Petitpas-Taylor has released the Liberal government's proposed cannabis regulations, opening the door to craft marijuana producers. Canadians have until January 20 to offer opinions on the measures before they're implemented. Once again, this has happened in Alberta, and it changed the way we will handle provincially our piece of this legislation. It's happened in BC. It didn't happen in Ontario. Ontario didn't go to their people. They don't care about their people. And it's about time the people of Ontario stand up and say, these other provinces are listening to their people. You're not. You're just costing us tax dollars. It's horrible what's going on in Ontario. Even the Maritimes, which are going to lean onto the LPs, have opened the door to craft, and this opens the door to craft all across. However, only if the provinces go for it. And that's the point. In Alberta, we've already expressed that, and thereby the provinces expressed to the federals, that we wanted private industry. We want dispensaries, we want storefronts, we want freedom. Freedom from government crown corporations. Just not the right. Government corporation, crown corporations. We always called them crown because of the queen. Anyways, I will attach below both this from cbc.ca as well as a link to the questionnaire. I have filled out that questionnaire. And there's another one coming later. And I encourage all of you, please put in your 2 cents. The government is listening. We're at a unique time. Like in Alberta, we have an NDP government in a very, very conservative province. The NDP government only just got in by the skin of their teeth a little while ago, a couple of years ago. So they're trying their best to propose legislation that most of our province can agree with. So they're very conservative. The legislation is very conservative because they want to stay in power. And federally, the Liberals really want to listen to the people, because if they don't, you know that the Conservatives will take over the Prime Minister's office, and then we will have much more freedom in this legislation. So it's a unique time where the people are being listened to. So get your voice, prepare for it, put some time aside so that you can really give it to them and give them your feelings on this legislation. Read through it. There are links to the legislation. There are links to the questionnaire. Do it anonymously. Do it as a citizen. However you fill it out, put your 2 cents in. I'm not even going to say, you know my opinion. The less government involvement, the better. The freer, the better. But I know a lot of you following me may not fill it out the same way I would. I don't care. I want the legislation to be as inclusive of all of us as possible. This is a good thing. I will move on to the next story. I'm going to have one more cheers because it where did I put that? It is so nice. So nice. Even though it's not for us, it's for them to listen to us. They're listening to us so they can stay in office. But however I'm listened to, their motivation has no effect on me, or very little. So the legislation is the page that I will be linking is consultation on the proposed approach to the regulation of cannabis, and in it there are links to the study, and it talks about why, who should be doing it, what it's about, and how to participate. The deadline to provide written comments is January 20th, so there is time. I do plan to reshare this, if I remember, many, many times. Let's now move on to, this is from Lyft.co. I really like Lyft. They've got a good story on how this proposed legislation sounds reasonable. It's their opinion piece on what I just read to you. Well, I didn't read it all. I encourage you to read it. But I will share this. While American states are including gray market elements, Canada might not follow suit. Now, what they're saying is that Section 62, Paragraph 7 of Bill C-45 states that the minister may refuse to issue a license where there are reasonable grounds to believe that the applicant has contravened the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act in the past 10 years. They're saying that they're trying to keep the gray market from being part of this new craft market. But these are the fights, these are the in-house fights and the quibbling of the many, and it affects the few. The reason I want to say that, first of all, to anybody with a low-level offense, you're likely to be able to keep a job in this market. What this proposed legislation is saying is that the government is withholding the right to refuse someone working in the market. They're going to license everybody in this market. That's their stand right now. They've already moved from, most of them will be government employees, to now you can have private industry. And we're not in July next year yet. So this legislation is going to change as it goes along. And we need to say, I don't understand what a previous drug offense does to future employment when the offense would not have been an offense had legislation moved a decade earlier. You know what I mean? That person would not have a criminal record had it not been for the law that has now changed. So while the U.S. jurisdictions have incorporated gray market people by allowing people to work in the industry, even if they have previous drug offenses, marijuana offenses, cannabis offenses, this ability to refuse is held with the government, and I disagree with it. And I'm not trying to sway your opinion. In my response to the legislation, I suggested that unless you are an owner operator or somehow accessible to the government, your criminal record should not be a determining factor, except for the boss, not the government. The boss can make their own decision if they want to allow ex-cons because everybody needs a chance or not. That's the free market. I'm into freedom, not the government making the choice of whether you should be able to work. So this is Lift.co's opinion. I'm not going to go into it real deeply. It's a really good article. It's for you to read. I hope you will. And let's move on. The next one. This one was a really interesting article. I've been watching the videos. I've been looking at the article. I've been really enjoying it because I know a few people with Crohn's disease. And this is that the main title is Marijuana Causes Complete Remission of Crohn's Disease with No Side Effects. Now that is misleading. I don't like misleading titles. I know it's meant to grab traffic, but it shouldn't be. We're talking about medicine. You want to get to more people, just be honest with it. So I'm going to read it. The disease of the digestive tract afflicts 400,000 to 600,000 people in North America. It's a lot of people. Causing abdominal pain, diarrhea, which can be bloody, severe vomiting, weight loss, as well as secondary skin rashes, arthritis, inflammation of the eye, tiredness, and lack of concentration. Amazing, eh? Smoking pot caused a complete remission, here's where they get that from, of Crohn's disease compared to placebo in half the patients who lit up for 8 weeks. So the study did find a complete remission in half the patients. That's huge. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. Just a minute. Somebody's trying to get to me. But it does not mean cause complete remission. Cause complete remission in half the respondents. This is good news, though. This is wonderful. It's like with IBS. It really, really helps. With some people, maybe even solves the problem. This is a good story to read. This is a good story to share if you know people with Crohn's disease. And the last thing brought to us by G.D. Sutton. Graham Downey Sutton, thank you. Thank you for this. This is from cfam.ca. I've met some people with CFAM. They're wonderful. This is called Don't Tax My Medicine. This is, Trudeau came forward with a proposed tax of $1 on the first $10 spent and 10% thereafter for any marijuana purchases. And this is complete, utter ridiculousness. It's bad enough we've been paying other provincial and federal sales taxes on medical cannabis. We are not taxed on our pharmaceuticals, but we're taxed on our cannabis when we have a valid prescription. That needs to change. You want to tax? I don't like tax, period, but you want to tax and thereby grow some community schools and playgrounds and all that from that money, I'm all for it. On the recreational market, do not tax sick people. So this is your link to tell them exactly that. And again, I am not asking you to give my opinion to the government. I am asking you to just answer the questions on this and see if you agree with taxing medicine. Oh, I think all tax on medical cannabis should be removed, and so does CFAM. And we're at the end. This is a short Hippie News Network. I am glad you came along. I am happy to bring you more. I really encourage you to share stories that you'd like to hear my opinion on, and it'll be included probably 2 weeks from now on my next Hippie News Network. Find someone with a smile today. Give them one of yours. Yours is beautiful, and they need to see it. Peace and cheers, friends. Love and harmony.